Press biasanya.
Oke, tadi record ya.
Oke, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good, uh, good evening, everyone. Today we will explain about scientific realism. First, we are from 9 group. We are consist of 3 members. First is Septi Haryanti, second is Lutfi Masnur, and third is me, Aulia Arifani. And the first material will be explained by me. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is scientific realism? So actually, scientific realism is a positive epistemic attitude toward the content of our best theories and models, recommending belief in both observable and observable aspects of the world described by the science. So the universe described by science is real. So it means that anything that happens in the world is real and not affected by how it may be interpreted. In philosophy of science, this point of view is often used as an answer to the question, how is the success of science to be explained? So this scientific realism consists of 3 epistemic attitude: metaphysical, semantic, and epistemologies. Next slide, please. Okay, first is metaphysical. Metaphysical is idea that the world exists of our mind. So realism in metaphysical is committed to the mind independent existence of the world investigated by the science. This idea is best clarified in contrast with position that deny it. For instance, it is denied when any position that falls under the traditional heading of idealism, including some forms of phenomenology, according to which there is no world external to and thus independent of the mind. This sort of idealism, but too historically important, is rarely encountered in contemporary philosophy of science. Second is semantic. Semantic is literal interpretation of scientific claims made about the world. So it's a literal interpretation, so it's real interpretation. So uh, semantically, realism is committed to a literal interpretation of scientific claims about the world. In common parlance, realists take theoretical statements as face value. According to realism, claims about scientific objects, events, processes, properties, and relations, whether they be observable or unobservable, should be construed literally as having truth values, whether true or false. The third or the last is epistemological. So theoretical claims constitute knowledge of the world. So epistemologically, realism is committed to the idea that theoretical claims constitute knowledge of the world. This contrasts with skeptical position which, even if they grant the metaphysical and semantic dimension of realism, doubt that scientific investigation is epistemologically powerful enough to yield such knowledge, or, as in the case of some anti-realist position, insist that it is only powerful enough to yield knowledge regarding observables. So, for example, while many realists subscribe to the truth or theories understood in terms of some version of the correspondence theory of truth, some prefer the truth maker account. I think enough for my explanation. Next presenter, Mbak Setri Haryati.
Okay, here I'm going to continue the first presenter explanation. Here we talk about scientific realism. Especially, it is about the history of scientific realism. Well, talk about the history of scientific realism. Scientific realism is actually connected to the old philosophical point of view, um, like rationalism and metaphysical. Um, the scientific realism is a point of view of some of all realists. So, scientific realism is developed immensely as a reaction to logical positivism. Positivism. Logical positivism was the first philosophy of science in the 20th century. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and second, we are going to talk about main features of ideal scientific theory. There are several claims held by scientific realists. Some of them are here. The claims the theory makes are either true or false. The entities described by the scientific theory exist objectively and mind independently, as what the first presenter explained that scientific theory is mind independently. There are reasons to believe some significant portion of what the theory says. And then the last one is combining the first and the second claims entails that an ideal scientific theory says definite things about uniquely existing entities. Okay, I think that's all about the history of scientific realism and the main features of ideal claims of scientific theory. Move to the next presenter, please.
Okay, I will continue our presentation. In this slide, there are characteristic claims of scientific realism. So I will share to you about some or several characteristic claims. Number one, the best scientific theories are at least moderately true. The second, the best theories don't take on central terms that are non-referring expression. The third, to say that a theory is wrongly true is sufficient explanation of the degree of its predictive success. Then number four, the rock truth of the theory is the only explanation of its predictive success. Then number five, even if a theory take on the expression that don't have a reference, a scientific theory may be approximately true. Then number six, scientific theories are in a historical process of progress regards a true narration of the physical world. Then number seven, the scientific theories make genuine existential claims. Number eight, theoretical claims of scientific theories should be read accurately and are definitely either true or false. And number nine, the level of the predictive success of the theory is evidence of the referential success of its central title. And last, the aim of science is narrative of the physical world that is literally true. Science has been successful because this is the goal that is has been making progress afar. And then in this slide, there are arguments for and against scientific realisms. Number one is no miracles arguments. In these points, is that unscientific arguments based on science cannot be accepted, and the miracle argument itself is more toward the belief of each person that relate with God, or in other words, we say as philosophy of God. And for example, as a Muslim, we believe in the argument about the Prophet Isa, who can bring the dead to life. But in this argument, in the view of science, it is not can is not be accepted because it's not exist. And then the second is pessimistic induction. Perhaps the strongest argument against scientific realism is the famous pessimistic meta-induction, which in recent years has been championed by Larry Laudan in 1981. Pessimistic induction is the argument that if successful and accepted scientific theories in the past turn out to be wrong. We have no reason to believe the scientific realist claims that our currently successful theories are roughly correct. And then constructivist epistemology, the branch of philosophy of science, which state that the natural sciences consist of construction of the mind made to explain the experiences or measurements of the real world by the sense of the body. Based on this understanding, science is constructed by scientists who seek to measure and model the real world. Then the world is independent of the human mind, but knowledge of the world is a construction of human and society. And then under determination problem. In philosophy of science, under determination is often presented as a problem for scientific realism, which hold that we have a reason to believe in entities that are not directly observable, talk about scientific theories. And the last, incompatible models argument. According to the incompatible model arguments, in certain cases, the existence of the first is the goal of science, which is to provide a true description of particular part of the world of the observable part. So I think enough for our presentation. Last say we say sorry if we have done mistake. Please forgive us. And last we say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.